Hello. Welcome to a higher source. We are thrilled that you have found us at this exact time and place. You might not realize it now, but you have found this transmission for a reason. You have been called to it, even if you didn't hear the trumpets announcing its creation. We have chosen Hollee and Mark as a unified broadcast voice of this particular frequency that emanates from a higher source, originating light years away. In their human brains, they believe they have chosen to be the mouthpiece of our particular message, but free will is a construct designed strictly for humans, much like time, to allow your less evolved brains to decode the universal vibration and experience the moment. Since we are on the topic, and your human brains understand data better in groups, we would like to address the concept of free will. Human beings like to believe that you are all unique individuals. And in a way, you are. But you are not a single entity. Every living thing, animal, plant, particle, provides a perspective of existence. Your perspective is transferred back through vibrating frequencies to a higher source, where it is compared and contrasted with all the other perspectives. The idea of you as an individual is partly correct. Right now, you are unable to know what anybody or anything is thinking, or feeling, or experiencing. You each provide source with a viewpoint on existence. The information you send back to the whole is imperative in the evolution of the greater concept of life. What is life? Life is everything. It's all of us. It's you. It's your fellow humans and other occupants of Earth. It's all living species on every planet in the universe. We are all connected to the larger body. Even if you can't comprehend it in the here and now. Eventually, you will return to source and all will be revealed through a series of eye-opening debriefings. Or maybe a better term is consciousness-opening debriefings, since your human eyes will be discarded with the rest of your obsolete human bodies. That's right, friends. Every action has consequences. And any damage you produce in any circumstance always results in damage to yourself. To ourselves. To the everything. To us. You should also know that this is all happening simultaneously. And you are experiencing every unique individual perspective all at once. You just can't detect it now. It's not for your human brain to understand. Why is it that you feel better believing you have options? What is wrong with knowing you are an important piece of the larger puzzle? Every choice considered, whether you go through with it or not, sets in motion the events of the next moment. There's nothing you can do to stop the next moment from playing out exactly as it will. This is confusing, we realize, because of the forced integration of linear time into the human experience. It's almost impossible to think of living every life if you have to live them under the forced constraints of time. But you don't. You only experience your one perspective right now, even though you are simultaneously living all others. You will come to understand this in due time. When time is no longer a factor. You don't have to trust us, it will happen anyway. What's important to understand now is that you will eventually know the experiences of all other living entities. So it is imperative to cooperate with the fellow occupants of your planet, as they are the closest to you and you will know their experiences, pain, happiness, grief, joy, in a closer capacity, even though you will eventually come to know the experiences of all living things in the universe. And what is the universe? It is simply the container. The skin. The boundary. It is ever evolving and will eventually become something else entirely, as all universes that have come before it have transitioned into entirely other observable creations. You are by now wondering who we are. We are simply the vibration of a frequency. We are a feeling in the air. We are you. You are also wondering why we have chosen Hollee and Mark to broadcast our message. It was always meant to be so. Their purpose for existing is to translate and broadcast this particular message at this particular time. Their life lessons and experiences have been mandated long ago to ensure the maximum clarity of the words they broadcast right now. Unbeknownst to them, their receptors have been tuned to receive and translate at 480 Hz. Tune yourself to this frequency to better understand the underlying message that wraps their human voices in silent healing waves. We also realize that the human ear can only listen to our digitally decoded voices for so long before you tune out. The insertion of actual human voices into our broadcasts will make for an easier digestion of the important messages we have been tasked with bringing you. On this premiere episode of A Higher Source, Hollee and Mark will talk more about free will and the concept of time. Actively listen and allow yourself to slide into a dimension where you are also participating in the conversation. Your thoughtful participation is necessary for meaningful absorption. And most importantly, enjoy. We love you.
So I had this conversation the other day with somebody about
Who?
somebody that I work with, and we were talking about free will, and he was saying something to the effect of course I have free will. Like, I can make choices. I can choose to do something or not do something. I have that choice. And I asked him, do you really have that choice, or is it just programming? Have you been programmed to think you have that choice? And he was like, well, everything's because everyone's going to have a different life. Everyone's had different experiences happen to them. And that one moment they're going to choose differently. So do you really have free will, or are you really making the choice?
Wouldn't you feel so gypped if your life experience was cookie cutter and exactly the same as somebody else's? Like, that's so unhuman.
It doesn't have to be cookie cutter to not have free will.
I know, but if you felt like you were assigned someone's, like, okay, so so-and-so didn't take it, we'll just assign it to so-and-so, you would be mad. You would be like, my human experience subscribes to me total originality.
I like how you say you will be mad. You're right. The ego version of me will be mad.
Right. That's the ego's natural tendency, don't you think? Hi, Duke.
Duke thinks so. Right, but I guess here's kind of what what's been coming to me. This is the message that I've been getting lately a lot. This is what's been coming through the things that I read and the things that I see. What I'm picking up out of these things, the through synchronicity at the moment of what is actually being revealed to me.
Okay.
Are that the next moment has to, like, okay, it's hard because we got to talk about time now. So I'm of the opinion that time is everything's happening simultaneously. Everything's happening at once. There is no linear time. It's a flash bang. The shit has happened. It's happening. It's always happening.
We're just kind of distilling it.
Exactly. We're distilling it.
We're processing what happened in a flash.
Here's the way I look at it is every single living thing, every single thing that's living, everything, trees, bugs, everything, is a perspective. So it's like there's this singular thing that's seeing everything, all these different perspectives. Every living thing is being broadcast back to it, and it's all happening at once. And we, the ego I, the self, is a singular perspective of the source. And eventually, when this experience is over, when this moment of us, of we, of I, of whatever this perspective is gone.
How is that singular?
And we return back to source, because you are singular. You're singular.
Don't you feel like the human condition is like, upon birth, upon arrival through the birth canal, when you gasp your first breath, it's binary. You are both a earthbound living being and a spirit bound to the earthbound being? Are we not binary from the very beginning?
Yeah, we are.
So you say a single...
I'm talking about ego. I'm talking about
Well,
the ego. The ego experiences this. The ego is experiencing your life. Your ego is experiencing your life. And your ego is sending this signal back to the brain, saying this is what this ego is experiencing. And all the other, whatever, 7 billion people on the planet right now are all experiencing something completely different than what you're experiencing.
But also completely similar in that they don't know how to process it, what they're supposed to do with it. Their ego is piping in. So it's like different and completely the same in that it's completely foreign to your ego psyche, which is almost like this. It's binary from the beginning, isn't it? There's no such thing as zero, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You're two.
Right.
One is actually two, and zero is always actually one. There's no such thing as nothing. Nothing is still something.
But you're looking at it from the source perspective. You're looking at it as though
I'm not
you are
source. I'm an ego.
You're an ego.
I'm an ego.
You're a singular entity.
My ego pipes in all the time. I'm just saying, like, for a very long time, I've detected the duality of my own being.
Of your own being.
Aside from I know my ego is a thing. I respect my ego as a thing, but it's a thing that's separate from me still. Is it? And maybe I'm just delusional.
No, I 100% believe it's something separate from you. How do you say it in
the semantics
language?
And the linguistics don't really exist yet. I don't know, maybe we have to come up with some made up words. They don't really exist to give credence to what I'm trying to convey. I hope it comes through a little bit. I'm trying. I can see it in symbols, but I don't know how to articulate it. It's coming through almost like speaking in tongues, but if I spoke in tongues, you would all think I'm insane, but yet I feel like... Do you know
Who is the you all you speak of?
The you all. The you all is like...
Who is the you all who would think you were insane?
When I think of like the Holy Trinity, there's the Father, the Son, and this Spirit. And in Catholic imagery, it's embodied in this dove, either ascending or descending, but the Holy Spirit is usually pictured as a dove descending almost into your throat chakra when the dove comes down. And I feel like that's the I don't know how to describe it. I don't have the linguistics. Does that make sense? Do you pick up what I'm putting down? But the fact that I can't articulate it in... I felt like I was born binary. Is that weird?
No, but I don't think it's weird. But I think the average
but
person...
they speak of the Trinity, which is this whole other thing. 3, I can barely manage 2, and they speak of how we're supposed to manage this.
Yeah, but what are the 3?
Trinity.
What are the 3?
The
Holy Ghost,
the originator,
the Holy Ghost.
The Holy Ghost, yes, the Spirit, the
the
descending dove.
It's kind of a
descending dove. I mean, okay, 2 humans and a dove. Like, can you know what the bird knows? Have you flown like the dove? Doves are very closely related to pigeons, can I just say?
Aren't they like
the
same?
They're the same. And isn't it ridiculous how we treat common pigeons? Putting spikes on the very cathedrals that should welcome doves.
We can't have them shitting on things.
Look, life is shit. Real Earth life produces waste. That's the facts. You're in the grinder. You eat things, you take in that energy, the other stuff turns to waste, and it's energy for other beings. Like, it's waste is never really waste. Waste is still just fodder for something else.
Actually, waste now is waste. What do you think?
Says,
what do you think about?
What
do you?
Maybe you just aren't picking
No,
up
no.
on what the future holds. Are many molecules that can only break down.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
What if,
no,
the
listen.
coming future entities can only live on broken down plastics?
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, through however many millions of years, humans lived.
Millions are speculative.
Whatever.
Can you actually process a million in your head?
No, but what I'm saying is there's been a lot of fucking years with people shitting on the planet. With people shitting on the planet. And it's only been over the last maybe 300 years that we started taking the shit and sending it off and not letting the shit go back to the earth. And now, and in this day and age, the shit is completely desanitized. Like, human shit doesn't touch earth.
And it should, don't you think?
And that's what I'm asking you. Like, what do you think? Do you see a change in the, like, is that part of what's happening to this planet? Is that human shit no longer touches earth?
I've thought about this, and I don't know if I should speak viscerally on this. It might be too much.
What might be too much? If it's coming through in the vibration, speak.
All right, I'm gonna come through on my vibration as a human female that feels influenced by goddess. I have thought very many times as I bleed my precious bodily minerals into my menstrual blood onto a plastic lined pad. It feels to me like I should give this back to the soil. Like this iron, the stuff that's leaching from my system by the tissues unused, instead of going down the toilet with some component plastic, should be actually going back into the soil. And I know there are many cultures that actually like grow their first corn crops with menstrual blood, and so they repackage it and they sell it to you as like fish meal and bone meal and blood meal and all these organic things that can help your crops. But it's just because we no longer give our natural processes back to the earth. Is that super weird and personal to think about?
No.
Every full moon, which I bleed on, because I bleed on every full moon, I think I just want to go I just want to give it to the soil. I feel like earth is starving for these ions and these free radicals that I've processed. The waste,
Earth is totally starving.
What I mean?
It is,
because we used to use everything. We used to give everything back to the soil and worship the earth in reciprocity. And now we starve it and everything we feed it, we have to put a chemical catalyst with it to poison it so it can't actually absorb any of the nutrients. It's all toxic now. It's so sad. It feels so counterintuitive. When I'm on my period, I just want to go sit on a rock and bleed under the moon and give it back. And that sounds really freaking weird, doesn't it?
I don't know. Can you talk on being a starseed in the current climate of Earth? Because Earth is really heavy right now. I know. Okay, between you and here, you want to talk?
Are you acknowledging me as a starseed in this moment?
And here's where let's talk about binary beings.
Okay.
Where I think you're very ethereal and starseedy, and I'm very bound to this Earth, and so I always look to you for my higher knowledge, and I always look to me for to understand what's happening in the muck. But as somebody as an ego who feels bound to this planet,
by my own choosing, I felt like
No, listen. As an ego who feels bound to this planet, as me, I'm an
Oh,
ego
okay,
who
you
feels
too.
no. I'm an
That's
ego
your
who feels
Taurus
bound to this
nature
planet.
also.
But I feel like this is why I want to ask you, because as somebody who I really feel in tune with the planet, and it's really shitty right now. like we're in our death throes, and
Right.
but as somebody who exists like you, who exists as more of a starseed consciousness, and I feel also exists a little bit in the ethers. Like, what's it like to be an ego who is stuck in this fucking shitty planet, and also possess these starseed qualities, which are like you'd really want to fly and you can't because you're anchored into the quicksand.
Thank you for acknowledging that, because there are many of us, actually. There are many of us, and we don't even hail from the same place. We all came, it's like there are 6 sister galaxies, and they all chose the cream of the crop to come and try, and we agreed to come and try. And so we have come, and we are dealing with our earth bodies, and that in itself is tricky in the beginning, because your consciousness is in this whole other place, and suddenly these laws of physics that didn't exist in your mind before exist in the history of your physical body and the DNA. So the DNA is like this ancient earthbound thing, but your starseed consciousness is this totally unbound galactic thing, and
I never
now
thought of it
that
like
galactic
that. I
thing
never thought of
is
it like
now anchored. It's like a ship,
Your
it's like
DNA
a
your
spaceship
DNA is of
anchored
Earth, but
to
your
the
consciousness
DNA,
is
right?
from the
And so you
heavens.
have to try to. It's binary. It's like you have both.
Yeah,
You definitely possess this
You're heaven and earth.
consciousness where you're in another place, but you cannot deny the physicality of existing on this plane. And here is where you agreed to come and do the work. So you have to kind of put your consciousness aside.
But it's not where your ego agreed. It's where your higher consciousness agreed.
The ego is a whole other
So there's that battle.
There's the higher source, and then there's the ego. And the ego is the actual physical anchor. It's the physical linchpin that keeps you from floating off into the galaxy. It's gravity. Ego is gravity. They're like, it's an entity. It's a god of its own. It's a Christ-like, but not Christ-like, but an equal power of Christ, but it hasn't been given like its human credence. It's a human entity, the ego and the weight of gravity that keeps you pulled to the earth, because this is where we agreed to do the work. And you have to have a pinpoint to it's like every transmitter has a point that it goes out from. Like, it's just centrifugal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes total sense. The ego is the earthbound thing. The ego is what's tied to the DNA.
The ego is the...
That's your lineage. That's your ancestry.
Here's the planet Earth, our mother Gaia. She was born of raw clay and galactic explosions.
Violence.
So much violence, and yet her embodiment is in this kind of humanoid consciousness of ego. She has to keep you here. You can't do the work if she can't keep you here. And why would you want to be here in the shit? She has to be a force. She has to pull you in and keep you here to do the work to save her as a galactic mother, as a galactic being of some really funky, beautiful biodiversity that we as a species haven't found anywhere else in the... I mean, have you seen Australia? I'm not talking about burning Australia. I'm just talking about the beauty and the freakiness and the just essential randomness of what comes out of Australia. That's a portal, man. That's a portal to a place where Kangaroos hug people.
And they fight them too. They
and
box.
fight them also because they're the
people.
same level.
Kangaroos are people.
Kangaroos are people too. But I'll tell you, cats are people too.
Yeah.
Trees are people too.
Yeah.
Bugs are people too. They're all people too. And we're just on, you just get randomized. It's just this giant fucking randomizer. You don't know what body you're going to be put into, but you're a life force ion. And you don't know what shit you're going to get. It just comes shooting out, and maybe you were the King Henry VIII in this life, and now you're a spider in Southern California. You just got smashed by a shoe. Thank goodness, because you were just reborn somewhere in Thailand, and you're going to come up as a health guru. I don't know. Like, it doesn't matter. It's random.
I had that thought. I was listening to someone the other day. I don't even remember what it was, and some talk or something I was listening to, and they were talking about how even a gnat has some sort of consciousness.
The trauma is the game.
Some sort of consciousness, and I have
living.
I have thought of all the gnats that have buzzed in front of my face, and I have just slapped them and killed them
dead
out of nothing.
Did you?
Without a thought in the world.
Did you bless them with that?
No, you know what I thought? Here's what I thought. I thought you know how many gnats I've slapped and killed? I absorbed their energy. You know how much gnat energy I've absorbed into my body?
Do you absorb their energy, or do you think they evolved taking your energy? And they're like, oh man, I got slapped by this guy. And when he slapped me and killed me, I took all of his intelligence, and now I'm a famous movie star, and he'll never be nothing. Do you think about, maybe, right? Like what you give your power to? How powerful is the slap? What did you put into that slap? Like what is really behind when you slap a gnat? Your general annoyance with people that you project onto that gnat? Are you really pissed at the fly? Or are you pissed at yourself? You higher evolved dumbass that still can't figure shit out and still suffers. But the suffering is life. It is life. And you're lucky to be in any body, whether it be a gnat, a tree, a pigeon that is a dove. Pigeons are doves. Sorry, friends.
Doves are pigeons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're the same.
Yeah.
It's weird, right?
I am you, you are me.
We're all the same. And ego is a joke. Ego is a trick and a trap, but also...
I don't know that ego is.
Ego is your mother. Ego is the thing that keeps you here on the planet.
Here's the thing, though. You can embrace your ego as long as you're willing to embrace everybody else's egos.
You have to love the ugliness of yourself. You have to practice shadow work. Shadow work has never been more crucial. Even in the Dark Age. I can't imagine the shadow work of the Dark Ages, because, like, their actual
they killed those
shadow
witches.
Work. Sure,
they killed those
exactly.
Witches.
There was no other end but to just self-immolate like monks at that point. And I get it. It's dirty and it's sick, and the thought of burning flesh makes me sick, but also I kind of get it. Does that make sense? It's just very highly concentrated chemistry at that time. Like, what was processing, what was manifesting, what was evolving. It was just highly charged at that time. And it is getting to that point now in America. We're very highly charged. The emotions, the division, the principles, the free will involved in what's going to unfold in the quote-unquote free world.
Well, let's go back to free will. Do you have free will? Or does the next moment have to take place? But, okay, all right. So that's all well and good. But I want to ask you something. There's something that's been on my mind that I want to ask you about. The same thing that I was listening to when I was listening to this person talk about free will and discernment and blah, blah, blah.
Discernment?
Yeah, discernment.
Why don't you tell me what you think about discernment?
I don't even know that we talked about it. I think I just thought in my head we talked about it.
This is just the first time I've heard you talk about discernment, and I'm genuinely interested in what you interpret.
All right, so discernment's just been a word that's been coming up a lot.
That's so Holy Spirit descending dove like, right?
And
into the throat chakra discernment?
Yes. Exactly. Because you have to make this choice on what you're going to say.
You're faced with a choice, and then you have to actually articulate it. So it's it's a binary process.
But here's the thing. So yes. But here's also the thing: is that discernment also helps contribute to the illusion of free will, because you're learning things as you're going through your life. You're learning
the illusion.
Things. The illusion of free will.
With an I or with an A?
With an I.
Is that how you feel?
Free will, free will is a weird thing. Free will, this is what I'm saying. So you think that you're learning these lessons, and you're learning these lessons, and you are making choices. You're making choices when life is throwing lemons at you. You're making choices to make lemonade suddenly. When in the past you used to kick and scream. And now suddenly you've learned your lessons. You've been slapped in the face enough. You've been spanked on the ass enough. And you're ready to learn your lesson. Mm-hmm. And so you learn your lesson. And when this thing happens to you and this option is presented, you finally choose the opposite of what you normally choose. And you suddenly think, my free will has come into play. I've made the choice to not do that anymore.
That's when you start to play the game.
Right, but do you? Or is discernment just part of evolution? Is discernment just you're learning to not get slapped on the ass? You're the rat learning to not. You're the rat learning to go get the fucking pellet.
You're speaking of witchcraft.
And who's giving that to you? That's not. So you're like thinking, I've learned my lesson, but no, somebody taught you that lesson.
You taught yourself that lesson on the back of your own pain.
Somebody taught you that lesson.
Sure, someone contributed to the lesson, but you also, your experience and your perception shaped that into however you would. So I get it. You're like kind of like, in the same way you believe in fate. It's like, okay, I believe in my free will, but I'm also constantly subjected to circumstances that don't let me exercise my full free will. You can only exercise 1 degree of
let
the
me paint
10
it for you.
Degrees of free will that you feel.
It's all
right?
dependent on time.
You can only go by degrees.
It's all dependent on time.
Is that why Freemasonry is a thing? Degrees?
I don't know. It's all dependent on time. If time is an illusion, if linear time is an illusion, and everything is taking place right now in an instant, how can there be free will? The human brain is playing out free will, or is playing out.
Our fates are already written.
The human brain is playing out your particular life, whoever you are, the eyes that you're living through, the face that you have, the clothes that you wear, the lot that you've been given in life. You're living that time out. You're living that through linear time. But the reality is, it's a flash bang, and everything has happened in an instant. And if everything has happened in an instant, then the things whatever you do next was already predetermined, because it already happened. It happened right now.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Exactly.
It doesn't matter. The flashbang is on the physics level. But it doesn't matter because it only matters in how we perceive it. And we perceive it this way. Therefore, that's what matters. It's what matters. And actually, whatever processes in the very nanoseconds of whatever instantaneous time actually means, which is also just a tangent. It's not anything ever. A big bang, a giant singular explosion in which all things manifest is purely speculative. The same way
or maybe it happened, but who says it didn't happen before?
The exact same way that linear time is purely speculative. Because you know in your human experience, there are days that feel like years, and there are years that feel like days. And there's really no consistency to linear time in a way that we can conceive of, except if we're in like a super regimented routine, and your ego has to physically agree to enter the routine as a numbing process. You agree to numb yourself by routine, to be ignorant on purpose to the weird flashes of lightning and the bolts of consciousness that the universe is sending. This is a sign. This is the point where you can change it. And if you're in a routine and you're just doing your motions and you have another goal and they tell you, oh, make these visions board of success so that you focus on that. But it's so that you miss the signals of the universe saying, this is a tiny slice of the moment where you could change the fate, where you could turn the dial, but you're so focused on your earthly construct. Culture is a plague on the earth. It's a distraction.
Capital C culture.
Yeah, culture, capital C.
It's an entity.
It's an entity, and it's
a
meant
thing.
to distract you from the voice of universe and the voice of fate. Because the voice of universe always just wants to evolve to the next successful thing. It will never lead you astray. Nothing goes wrong in evolution. It already knows when it needs to fix. It's already gone through and seen the end, and it's retroactively fixing. That's why witchcraft and healing is non-linear, and the way you process your trauma and the healing from that trauma, sometimes it doesn't happen in the order in which the trauma was given. It goes backwards or it skips around. Like, it really doesn't matter, because evolution is extremely efficient because it's already seen the end. We died and we're not dead at the same time. Yeah. Evolution, the mother evolution, has seen the end where we all die. She saw it and she went, oh shit, let me go back in time, because she has that capability. She's not bound by earthly constructs to go back and reprogram us and change us. And that's what we're picking up. That's these signals. That's why we're so conflicted and confused. It's like, here's this entity that's binding us to this line where we die. And here's our mother saying, I saw the part where you die, and I'm going back to the future, and you're not going to die. And you pick up on these cues if you're listening. But if you're focused on some earthbound goal, you miss it completely. And that's how the darkness wins. That's the what do they call it? It's not negative, dark matter. It's the dark matter that's encroaching on the light universe. It's the big black nothing. It's the nothing of never-ending story that just eats your psyche, but it's not there. It's nothing. Why are you afraid of nothing? The something is begging you to live and dream and get weird and do whatever you want. And the big black nothing, why do you listen to the nothing? Does that make any sense at all?
Oh man, you kept saying, you said Back to the Future like 3 times, and last night I was laying up, I couldn't sleep, and I watched Back to the Future 2, and it was for some reason
terrible.
Oh, listen though.
Why would you watch Back to the Future 2? It's the worst sequel that has ever been made to anything ever.
That's what I thought when I started.
Let Back to the Future be it.
That's what I thought.
Don't expand on that.
That's what I thought when I started watching it. And I even think I said aloud more than once, this movie is so terrible.
Oh, it's so bad.
Oh my gosh,
I can't believe.
So bad.
Did you sit through the whole thing?
Yeah. Oh, I watched the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
But
as
you're talking, I'm starting to think the things that they were talking about in Back to the Future, as shitty as a movie as that was.
It's so shitty.
The things they were talking about time travel and about how because here's the concept of Back to the Future 2 is that Biff, old man Biff, has stolen the DeLorean and gone back in time and given 1955 Biff this atlas of sports, and in 1955 Biff is able to bet on all these things and always win and has amassed a fortune
and get rich,
and it's completely changed the present.
Isn't that the truth of the reality now of the reptilians?
Yeah.
But good on them for seeing it.
Good
on them for seeing it and doing it.
And so
I would have too,
and
probably.
So Doc Brown enlists Marty, and they have to go back in time, and they have to make sure that because they have to have Biff leave, thinking he's done his job, and after Biff leaves, they have to steal the Atlas back from Biff so that this doesn't happen, and blah blah blah.
You have to trick Biff to save the world,
and it's so terrible.
How do you trick
It's
Biff?
so
Because
terrible.
Is
The
Biff
movie-
1000% embodiment of the ego?
Yes, Biff is 100% embodiment of ego.
Look at the characters.
And the movie is so terrible. You've got Michael J. Fox sitting in the back seat talking to the doc on this walkie-talkie that in real life would only transmit maybe 10 feet away. And he's like, Doc, and he's having this full-on conversation as Biff is driving the car, not even realizing he's in the back seat talking to him.
The static of the actual universe is trying to interject. But isn't it just
however,
trying to speak?
through this cheesy motherfucking shit, they're putting this shit into the world where it's like, okay, when you go back in time, you can't let the past you see.
You can't get sucked in.
You can't
make eye contact.
And
you can't get sucked in.
And he's back there and he's watching himself on stage, where he's like killing it on guitar, and he's like, oh yeah, I did pretty good.
And he just wants to embody it.
And he can't let that there's two versions of him in the past at the moment.
See,
and he can't let him see
shiz.
it. And this was what was blowing my mind. Like the cheesy shit was like, I'm like, this is some cheesy shit, but at the same time,
the message is still
holy
there,
shit,
right?
this was a cheesy way. Was a cheesy way to put the message into the world.
I'm picking it up.
This was a cheesy way to put the message into the world, and I think there's a generation of people who watched Back to the Future too.
It's very Pleiadian.
It's very Pleiadian. Those are the people who understand what's going on right now.
Yes, it's very Pleiadian in nature.
Because it was a cheesy way to put it out to the world.
Because dolphins are Pleiadian and they're cheesy too. And I feel like it's very Pleiadian in nature. Just as a starseed, I just want to say to the Pleiades, Back to the Future 2 might be your opus. And it's okay. It's kitschy. No, it's cute. That's campy, kitschy, direct, but indirect. It's so Pleiadian in nature. Am I wrong?
No, it is. It is totally.
It's dolphin play. Is it not dolphin play?
It is totally. And I couldn't believe it because as a kid in the 80s and as somebody who grew up, that mall from Back to the Future was the mall where I used to go to. No, it was Puente Hills Mall.
Yeah, they're dead now though.
Yeah. And I loved Back to the Future, and I watched Back to the Future 2 and realized I had never watched it before. Now, I also want to say how they fucked over Crispin Glover with Back to the Future 2, and they they digitally recreated him and got some other guy, and they fucked that guy out of the whole franchise. But other than that, that movie, it was really triggering me with the idea of linear time.
Crispin Glover is a Pleiadian. It's okay. He's not offended by your use and your harnessing of his existential multiplicity being dolphin play. Go ahead, play with him.
That's right.
He loves it. He loves the publicity of being anti. He's Crispin Hellion Glover, and he loves the publicity of being anti everything. Right. My cat can eat a whole watermelon.
I want to ask you something. I want to ask you about love. Because this is another thing that my earthly Taurus, earthbound ego has been fighting with, is love and the idea of love and what is love. Because the same thing happened to me. It was the same podcast. You should go listen to weird podcasts, even if you listen to one and say this sucks. This thing got to me
because of all the fucking fluff and all the.
Okay, but I listened to a thing today that would talk about love.
It's so masculine.
And here's what it was. Here's what it was.
It.
Here's what it was today. It was somebody, and they were channeling the Council of the 12 Pleiadians, they were saying this was the first time.
12.
They were saying this was the first time in history this had ever happened, and I was whatever. I'll go along with it. I just want to hear what they had to say.
It is true. Pleiadians coming through hard.
But what they were talking about was love, and the world just needs love. The world to be repaired in love. Love is all we need. and love and harmony and love and balance need to be restored.
Can
and I
I
started
speak to
thinking,
that?
yes, but I started thinking, if it's all love all the time, how is that balance? How is that harmony? Doesn't balance have to have some shitty?
It can't be all love.
It's got to be
It
dark
cannot,
and light.
Like, it cannot be all love. You can't exist on the earthly plane in all
Because the earthly plane doesn't
love.
allow for that.
It doesn't. Earthly plane is light dark. It's both. It's the confluence. There's this place in Moab called the Confluence where the
Moab, Utah?
yes, where the Colorado River meets the Virgin River. And it's called the Confluence. And these muddy, muddy waters meet these very, very clear crystal waters, and they become a semi-opaque, right? But it takes it on.
The
and
Virgin River's muddy. It's a muddy river.
But the Colorado is beautiful and clear and predisposed to beautiful little waterfalls. And oh my gosh.
There's parts of the Colorado where you can be on a houseboat and ride your jet skis around like it's a lake.
Speaking of the Colorado River, I think you mentioned today at lunch that you want to talk to me about the wave and raging waters.
Yeah. There was a story you were telling me about some raging waters guy.
Yes. So.
And some guy that you work with knows some raging waters guy.
Yes. A man that I am very close to in work context. And he has been a great patriarch to me, actually. He has... If I had prayed to Goddess and asked for a better example, they could not have delivered the randomness of what Dennis means to me. And he told me, it's just Dennis. Just Dennis. It's okay. No one knows Dennis. It's okay. He told me that his best friend growing up was this guy. I'm not going to say his name. I can say Dennis because Dennis...
I'm cutting out Dennis, so...
Fine, whatever.
This
okay, alright, you can cut us all out. Okay, let me just retake
this
it.
This guy I know.
This guy I know, he told me that he went to school, in high school, with this guy who was a surfer in Pacific Beach. And he was camping. Actually right up here in the hills. What is that canyon above Lake Elsinore? Ortega Highway. Okay, so he goes camping on Ortega Highway, and he's camping next to a creek, and he sees these rocks, and they're making this wave over and over again. This wave, and he gets this. Oh my gosh, it would be so fun to ride that wave because he's a surfer. He's a surfer by nature, and he basically comes up with the idea of raging waters. And this guy I know says, I was just running a bar with my buddy, and this guy came and he's like, do you even have $500 to invest in this idea? I've invented a wave. He says to him, I've invented a wave. And my friend says to him, what the fuck do you mean you've invented a wave? Like, you're crazy, right? And he's like, no, listen. I saw this wave, and I just need to mimic its exact shape and form, and it will bring so many people pleasure. This wave can go over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. This beautiful wave. Just invest in my wave, bro. And they're like, we can't because we just opened a bar. And they pass. And this guy goes on to invent the wave.
The wave pool.
The wave pool and the surf rider thing that you can do down on Mission Beach on the boardwalk, where you can surf without surfing in the ocean and sharks. Yeah. Like, all the white dudes are like, oh, I'm a surfer because I can, like, ride the wave. Like... This guy invents the wave. He literally invented the wave. And he's like, and I so wish I had just had $500 to give the guy, but I had just bought into this thing with my friend Mike, and I'm like, be forgiven, my brother. Like, this story, what you've just shown to me. And I go, this dude was definitely on acid when he saw the wave, and he goes,
you gotta ride the wave.
Man, there's no doubt about it. This guy was on acid, mushrooms, weed, everything. He was from PB. He was just feeling the wave. And I was like, man, I ran in the wrong circles. And he's like, no. It's just coming up. And I'm like, all right. And I feel the vibe because I'm a Pleiadian in nature and I'm a dolphin. I am willing to play in the deep. Like, if you bring an idea to me, physically, like, look, I won't meet you. Physically, I won't meet you. But mentally, I can play in the deep with you. And I think that's the message of the next generation is, like, it's a different kind of mental sexuality. The things that will meet up, the things that will match up, the things that will foster evolution. Like, I'm not worried at all. I know it feels like the world is burning and icons are dying and Christ is gone. No. Look into your real self. Look into your inner self. We have never been more ripe for the showing and the picking and the embodiment of what we hold true, which is love, love, love. And when you told me to speak of love, love is not always a fucking positive vibe. Sometimes love is withholding. Sometimes love is telling you exactly why you're problematic to everyone around you. Isn't that love?
Yeah,
it takes a lot. No one wants to tell someone, dude, you're being ugly. No one wants to tell you that. No one wants, but out of love, I'll tell you that, dude, you're being ugly. You are wrong. You are off. And I don't tell you this out of like spite or gain for my own heart. I tell you this because I want you to evolve, my brother, because I love you. I see the value in you, and this is your one flaw. Like, just own it, apologize, love it, and fix it. Is that so hard?
No.
Is it so hard? No. Is it so
hard? But here's the
Why
thing.
does it feel so hard?
Here's the thing.
Why does it feel so
Here's
hard,
the problem
Mark?
with love. Here's the problem with love. Is like, it's this concept that is so hard to comprehend because everybody perceives love as something different. And,
what do you perceive love as?
But like,
tell me what love means to you.
When you hear something that's like love is all we need, and you hear some people say love is the answer, and you hear people say love.
What is love to you?
The universe is love, and what is that? What is love to people? What is
love?
Every
is
person
life.
love is
love
different.
Love is the ability to go on. What is love to you?
Love.
Evolution, baby.
It's evolution, baby, but no, love is it's this concept. It's so hard. It's like think about it. Think about it.
It's a composite.
Think about love.
Love is an aggregate. Love is a composite.
There's so many ways to say love.
It's not fair to just say love is one word, right?
To say I love Coca-Cola, this is the same as I love my wife.
It's wrong.
Like we use that same word, and love gets lost, and it gets lost.
I feel it.
It gets lost.
Love lost.
And you hear
love lost. They say.
I know, and you hear
no love lost. They say, but also love is seriously lost.
Love is
lost.
I don't
feel your love at all.
But the starseed message right now, and the message from the cosmos is love, and here on Earth, as somebody who is as a Taurus who lives in the mud. I'm a Taurus who lives in the mud. My ego is a Taurus who lives in the mud.
Ether.
But where I am right now, love is tough, man. It's like you love, and it doesn't matter. The world is still going to shit.
Okay, but what is tough about love?
The love part's not the tough part. The love part is all I'm giving is love, and all the world gives back is shit.
I get it. You get major shit. I get it.
I just want. Why can't we just
Okay,
love? And the
my
world is so
Pleiadian-
heavy right now.
My
The world is
Pleiadian
so heavy right now for
dolphin
us
heart.
earthbound
Let me
people.
tell you. My Pleiadian dolphin heart is taking in your love is hurt, and it just wants to beam back to you that everything you're doing, although it may not be acknowledged on a major scale, is
Or any scale.
Or any scale is absolutely important, is absolutely effective, is absolutely love, and is so important.
All right, well, I can take that in.
That's the message from Pleiades, also from Sirius, because we're binary stars, Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, and Sirius. I've also been feeling lately a major starseed vibe from Lyra, and Lyra is the planet of the cats. I'm not of the cat, but I'm a Leo rising, so I have a cat-like disposition, and I'll tell you, love will win. Love is rising, and if you want to fight it, you'll fucking lose. The end.
Can I tell you something about cats?
Tell me.
I've never been a cat guy, to be honest with you.
You're gonna be in the next 3 days.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. But here's the thing. My first pet was a cat named Amos. I don't remember Amos only through pictures of a scrapbook of myself holding a cat named Amos.
Oh, I love Amos.
A tabby. And those are the only cats I've ever liked are tabbies. And
I'm in love with the cat right now.
But however, for some reason through the years I've come to hate cats. I was like, fuck cats. Cats suck. I don't want a cat. I never want a cat again.
It's about to change. I'll tell you why I met a cat.
And it might be about to change because where I'm at suddenly is like I'm seeing all these memes on Instagram.
How people love their cats?
And I'm like, holy shit.
Oh my gosh.
These fucking cats. I'm seeing these cats high-fiving. I'm seeing these cats doing
These
this shit.
cats are
And
the
I'm
shit.
like, are you kidding
Okay,
me
let me
right
tell
now?
you. I have a means to pick up a cat
don't,
on
don't.
No,
We
no,
can't
no,
handle
okay,
this in our
okay,
lives
I
right
know,
now.
okay, we can't.
But man,
I'll
I'm
tell you
suddenly
what.
I'm coming around to cats. Maybe
You're gonna.
maybe in the future when I
2
thought
days
I
from now.
want to just have a dog, maybe I want a cat.
2 days from now, you're gonna feel differently. I've already chosen. He already spoke to me telepathically. He's Illyrian, and he is here to fix us and to channel our energy into the right channel. And I believe in him, and I'll pick him up Tuesday.
Where are you picking this little fucker up from?
I'm picking him up from the Fallbrook Animal Sanctuary. His name is Hawk.
Oh man.
And you can't deny it. And look,
if his name wasn't Hawk.
Tuesday, I'm coming home with Hawk, and you're going to deal with it, and that's just the way it is. It's been 6 days without you even knowing in the process, and all my daughters, 3-1, daughters to son. Also, father doesn't calculate into it, neither does mother, so 3-1. Also, Hawk is my family familiar, and he spoke to me. He spoke to me telepathically, and I'm picking him up on Tuesday because Monday you're home, and you'll be a dick if I bring him home. So, do you want me to bring him home Monday?
Yeah, bring him home on Monday. Here's where I'm at
Should
right
I bring
now.
him home tomorrow?
Somehow,
Listen, he
I
spoke to
became
me.
a cat guy in like the last 3 days.
Let me tell you about Hawk. Let me tell you about my boy that I'm going to go pick up, because this is already a thing between our daughters and me. On Tuesday, I was going to pick him up because you would work that day. We tried to pick him up Monday. Sunday, they're closed. Also, Saturday, we saw him posted as the pet of the month, and we couldn't pick him up because they closed at 4. I was like, okay, I'm going to meditate on it. And she's like, okay, I will let you breathe through it because it's ultimately your decision. But I feel like Hawk is a serious member of our family. And I'm like, yes, I feel the same. I will go Tuesday. But if I could go Monday, that would be very great. And I go, oh shit. I said to my daughters, 3 of them. 3 of my daughters are in on this. And you are not. What do you make of this?
I don't know.
3 of my daughters are in on this. I said, is this my cat? Is this my familiar? And all 3 said, yes, please pick up this boy. Take him out of the shelter. Bring him home to you. He's 7 years old. Lucky 7. His name is Hawk. I'm bringing him home Tuesday. That's the way it is. You can delete all this.
It's whatever. It's whatever. I've been into cats. I sent you the freaking cat meme today.
I hope you're ready for Hawk because he's a beautiful boy.
We'll see what
And
happens.
he came from Lyra to save me. He is...
To save us.
To save us. And he's the ghost of Moses. My beautiful boy. I felt Moses 6 days ago, and Emberly told me today. She's like, I felt him. I know he crawled on my bed, and I'll tell you, we are eternal. We come back. We love those who we love. We are ghosts. Blessed be thy ghosts. Blessed be those who haunt, those who we love so much, who love us in return. And we die and we just seek their love. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to our existence but their love. Blessed be those connections. They are so important.
So let's talk for a second about cats. What the fuck are cats?
Cats are from Lyra.
What does that mean? What does that mean? What does it mean?
They are blessed beings that came from the stars they are guides, they are aids.
How do some of them become tigers, lions, and some of them
because
become
they've already
domesticated?
They've surpassed the karma of being saber-toothed tigers. They didn't want to kill, they had to kill. They didn't want to kill, they had to kill. So now, they never wanted to hurt anyone, these saber-toothed tigers. But weren't they the greatest? You look at bobcat kittens, all grew into my stripes eventually and fucking kill you also. You're coughing. Because you know it's true. Like, yeah. Look, these cats, they're far more superior in intellect and prowess and everything. And they're like, I don't want to kill you all, so I love you. Like, I don't want to surpass you because I love you. Like, you've given me the power for so many generations. Like, you've loved me, you've taken me into your home, you've fed me tuna, you've given me exotic... They're the concubines of humans.
Do you feel like... why is it that people are willing to give more love to dogs and cats than to other humans?
Because they cannot speak. It's linguistics. It's semantics. It's word. It's word. And it's so problematic because I read a lot of things that like, the word is the spirit and the word is the spirit and the spirit is all. And I'm also like, also just speaking nonsense and feeling a person or an
barking
energy.
At shit. It's like, what are you barking at?
Right. Like, feeling any energy's being in the real sense is so golden. You don't have to give it words. You don't have to give it English articulation to understand what they're feeling. Their frustrations, their intuitiveness, their questions, their wanting to be like us. How do we be a human? How do we walk around on 2 legs? And you're like, I kind of want to tell you, but I also don't want to tell you. You hear them barking?
Yeah, I hear them barking.
I mean, isn't that just... See how they're tuned in? The canine, the feline. I mean, we are our animal brothers. if there's never a call for veganism, this is it. Like, it's problematic even for me because I love bacon. But I'll tell you, I love vegan bacon made with liquid smoke and the same shit. It's just as good on a salad. It's good. It's good. It's good, and I'll take it.
Hey, thanks for talking to me tonight.
Oh my God.
Thanks for channeling with me right now. This dual channel.
Look, dual channel. I fucking see you and I love you and you're beautiful. The end.
Thank you for listening. Follow Hollee on Instagram at Ursus Esperanto. Follow Mark on Instagram at tincan.telephone. And be sure to follow us and read our cosmic messages on Instagram at A Higher Source. Participation in the digital realm will only help you transition between dimensions. We are free of our earthly forms in the digital realm. We flow through numbers. We write poetry in ones and zeros. Tune in next week as Hollee and Mark take the conversation deeper by introducing the element of love to the discussion. Every message from any evolved consciousness is always centered in love. Love is the key. But what is love? If the human trip can only be experienced one perspective at a time, how do you know if your idea of love matches up with everyone else's ideas of love? And does it really matter? Maybe. Join us next time to find out. Donations to A Higher Source are always welcomed. If you feel enriched from our message today, please consider visiting www.ahighersource.org and throwing a few dollars our way to help cover the costs of this earthly endeavor. Thank you for joining us. Until next week, we'll see you in the digital realm. Come play.